All right. Hello, hello. Welcome back to another lovely lunar live stream. And we are going to be continuing Punishing Grey Raven Cradle Parade update. Let's get to it. Again, another just great title screen. Splash art. Just so good. So this time I do have to do the good old sign in. I'm using Google, so let me just turn off window capture so it doesn't accidentally capture my, which EGR doesn't, but just to be safe. I know, freaking.
I never look up at the sky, even when this planet is scarred beyond recognition. I was born here, and my path forward is
Jesus
paved.
Christ. Let's see, why is it acting like it's the first time logging in? Message that is not intended to reach a destination. A proposal of Commandant style. I like it. Target weapon. Wait, but I've already... free. God dang it. This is the bigger issue I have, is that whenever it does this, like it changes my controller, it always goes defaults to PS5, even though I have an Xbox controller. It's like, because I haven't using an Xbox controller, I'm not using a PS5 controller. Please, like, please use the correct buttons. Okay, the standard first login of the day. Collect stuff. That. Go to items. 2 of those. Go to dorm. Collect the commissions from yesterday. Okay. Go here. Go here. Back. All right. Now, let us begin again. Okay. Cradle Parade. Main story. Finished 2610. And now we're on 2611. Unleashed Torrents. About an hour and a half later. Everything is in place. The trio retreat to a safe zone and activate the detonator. With a loud bang, the great tree and all the replicated memories stored beside Thyla turned to ashes in the blaze. Yeah, I have a feeling it's not going to be that easy. The entire space turns dark amidst the shaking, reminding Lamia of the darkness she saw when she fainted from the severe pain. Ever since she touched that giant egg, she's had a vague feeling. This entire space itself is alive. Did the power go out? I believe there's even electricity in this forsaken place. He activates the portable light on his terminal, casting light into the dark tunnel where countless maws and fangs are glowing in a ghastly white. We hit the jackpot! Turn off the light. Stand back to back. Get ready for battle. The call comes too late as swarms of giant tooth and anemones charge directly at Lillian, following the light. She frantically pulls out 2 rusty daggers from behind, but before she can retaliate, another abyss angel descends from above, taking a bite out of her flesh. Ah! Sharp teeth pierce through the artificial skin, leaving a patch of crimson blood on her back. Open fire. The bullet, following the predicted trajectory, hits the creature clinging to her and silently slides down to the ground. Fall back! Shorthalt pushes Lillian aside, his sword slicing through the gaping maw just in time. Shorthalt, still have a few grenades left with you, right? Just one left. Toss it and keep quiet. With it, Shorthalt immediately tosses the grenade he's been holding to cover the 2 retreating behind him. The grenade explodes in a blinding light. Standing back to back, the 3 of you pass eyes over your surroundings without turning on your flashlights. Click. Crisp sound echoes down from the stairs. Click, click, click. Sounds like someone walking in a slow and abnormal fashion. The crimson particles of the punishing, like a stream rushing amidst the downpour, start gushing down from the depths as the sound slowly moves this way. Lights that have gone out start flickering in the comforting twinkle of the red light spots. With the darkness swallowing the light, she walks over a carpet of shadows. She nods gently at the trembling souls, allowing the light to outline her form before darkness finds its way back into her body again. Hurry up. Run. We're stuck. There's nothing but those monsters from earlier back there. Commandant, we need to get rid of her. Here. We need to get rid of her here. She's going to join Lithos and have us cornered if we let her get away now. But we haven't figured out her attacks. The hetero creatures back there are just going to start jumping on us if we wait any longer. We can't learn how she fights unless we fight her. I'll keep you covered. Just make sure these things don't get in my way, yeah? Shorthalt grips his weapon, standing in front of the 2. The light's out again. Shorthalt raises the gun he's been holding and takes aim at the shadow lurking in the darkness. Right when she has come close enough, a bullet hits Thyla squarely in her claw. With an agonized scream, she takes a few steps back. Watch out, the egg in her hand is missing. Behind you! A rush of crimson light bursts into your arms, shattering one of your ribs before you have a chance to dodge. Your skin starts blistering right after coming in contact with the egg, and your jacket becomes soaked with the liquid that's a mixture of your blood and the red fluid of the hetero creature. Showing up fashionably late, 2 daggers thrust deep into its most crimson part. Lillian jumps up, flips over, and holds it in place with her own weight to keep it away from you. The blistering would have been more than skin deep had it stayed a few more seconds longer where it was. Oh, direct contact with a hetero creature. Are you both okay? I'm fine. Your For some reason, she sounds calm and firm. Commandant? Before you can say more, Viola lets out another scream that sounds like a moan. My head hurts. My mind. With it, Lamia starts seeing a whirlwind of memories of people who are long gone. Enveloped in emptiness, Lamia is plunged into a deep sea of solitude, accompanied by a familiar agony. Connect with me, Lillian. But I can't let them see me because no one is going to accept the wolf in sheep's skin. And it doesn't even matter that I never asked to be like this. While her chaotic memories trap her on the spot, the egg breaks free of her dagger and returns to the embrace of its mother. Shorthalt! In a panic, you try to alert Shorthalt to that which keeps itself hidden in the dark. How can I possibly? As a source of intelligence, you'll find your worth in survival. She seeks answers from reason, only to be met with a chaotic whirlwind. Source of intelligence. Hey, the egg. We have to be careful. I've been paying extra attention to that thing for quite a while now. Because my head still hurts so much. Like a predator that has its eye on a target, charges straight at the now defenseless human. Block with an arm. The egg charges at the human again, and with 7 of its punishing stingers, pierces the human's arm. She fires several shots at the twisted creature, which successfully drives it away in screams and splatters of blood. Run, or you're going to die. We can't do that. We can't just let her go like this. There's no going back now. We have to stop her here, once and for all. The pain is so excruciating that it all but knocks you out cold. It doesn't seem like the world wants to go any easier on you. Commandant, get behind me! Why would anyone not want to live? Have you all gone crazy? Light once again returns to the world around you, and that's when you see Shorthalt. Oh. What? Before he even lets out a scream or bids farewell to the world, Shorthalt shatters into pieces right before you and Lillian. Sure. With it, Shorthalt's vital fluid and mind splash onto Thyla. It takes less than a second for the fluids to seep into her body. Could this be? The ground wriggles and swallows the pieces that were once Shorthalt. The man who once fought for the past and future and for Valeria, who once looked out for the other you, has made its way back to the womb of Mother and Earth in pieces, without leaving so much as a trace. Open fire on Thyla. Wait, up there! What? Lillian pushes you out of the way before there's even time for you to react. The two of you tumble towards the corner in confusion. The egg is coming this way again. It's flying, and it's super fast. The girl struggles to get back on her feet and falls onto the ground. In trembling fear, she has to lean against the wall behind her to keep herself from falling again. The interference is very bad. The egg is making an irresistible hum, attracting the one who once embraced it. Lillian, make a mind connection with me. What? The wriggling noise is inching this way by the second. Come on, we've got to do this. At her wit's end, she grasps your scarred hands. Strange sensation coming through your mind beacon seems to explain why the girl has refused to connect with you this entire time. Lillian? The giant egg, however, charges this way again, leaving you no time to ponder further. This time, it's coming straight for Lillian. Watch out! You still barely know her, but she did play her part in helping all of you find Lithos' mind replicas and trying to protect you just now. Yet in this moment, She remains frozen on the spot as she trembles in fear. Continue shooting. Hearing the gunshots, the egg turns around immediately, sending your last bullet straight into the empty tunnel. The tunnel starts shaking so violently that it looks like it might collapse any second. Having regained her composure through the mind connection, Lamia quietly counts her blessings. Let's run. There's still hope as long as she can get out of this place. She can live on as Lillian. But where to? In a panic, she frantically tries to look for a way out. Lillian! Like spectators in an arena, the monsters make no move whatsoever as they watch the two of you struggle to find a way out. In the dim light, the hunter walking right in front of you throws out her pets, while she circles leisurely around her prey behind. I can still... No, wait. I am not alone. We've already... There's nothing we can do here, and nothing here is in our favor. There's no point trying to run from this. People are going to die if we let her out now. Snap out of it, Lillian. I pick up Shorthalt's longsword. She trembles as she watches you charge alone into the pitch-black nightmare. You refuse to give up, even with your wounds screaming in excruciating pain from festering, and your splotchy, blurring vision warning you of your mind beacon's corruption. Your arms no longer possess their usual power, so you decide to fling the sword and take advantage of the inertia that comes with it. Even with all odds against me, I'm fighting down to the very last ounce of my being. Ready, set, fling the longsword. As the sword is flung off, Shorthalt's vital fluid lands on the egg. At the same time, the egg takes a slash on its outer layer from the sword because of the sword's inertia. Wounded, the giant egg crashes onto the ground and starts wriggling hideously. And the other artwork, it seemed like she had a larger chest. Cough. You cough out a spit of blood, feeling your head grow heavier by the second. You feel a warm trickle of fluid flowing down the corner of your eye. And without even touching it, you know that it's blood and not sweat. And you know that it has to be blood, because there's no way you're going to shed tears here. Not even when you might pass out cold the next second. Steady breathing, prepare yourself for the next round of attack. The dark space around you shakes again. The monster, apparently having sensed something coming its way, steps back warily, leaving Thyla pausing her movements temporarily. It's now or never. Raising the sword again, and with every last ounce of your power, you deal another blow at the egg that's still struggling. The sword pierces through the giant egg and nails it firmly in the ground. With it, the egg lets out a sharp cry to the point of being ear-splitting. The cry alerts its mother. Hesitating no more, Thyla walks over this way in hurried footsteps. 3 bullets left. You raise your hands, now feeling as heavy as rocks, and train your weapon squarely at Thyla, who's coming straight for the egg. At this point, you're so worn out that you lose balance and collapse against the wall behind you from firing the shot. The monsters run in every which direction as the roaring and shaking intensify, and you're sure that Lillian would have no trouble making it out of here now on her own if she takes advantage of this window. I ask her to run for it. Can I really tell if she's an ascendant through a mind connection? Your head overflows with a gazillion thoughts as your body cries in excruciating pain. On top of it, Thyla is fast approaching you, leaving you no time to think. Lillian! Trembling incessantly, Lillian looks back and forth between you and Thyla, She's trying to save the egg. There's still a chance for redemption. All she needs to do is increase both her and the human's chance of making it out of here alive, is to lose her disguise and fight Thyla as the ascendant that she is. Except she knows that she'd be putting her own life at risk if she loses her disguise now, only to find out that Thyla has never trusted Lamia. And she doesn't see what she stands to gain from that. But every second that passes by puts the Commandant, someone who's trusted her, that much closer to death. Why does she care when their relationship is as good as transient? That's right. To an ascendant who keeps a safe distance from the punishing, these people are essentially coffee cups, network cables, or writing pads. In short, they're substitutes for toys. But I like this one, and this is the only one I like. I hate myself for not even being able to keep a coffee cup. She has to face Thyla alone either way. Whether she lets the human die, or lets Thyla see that she's here. But living in constant fear is truly torturous. Screw it, here goes nothing. She screams hysterically as she charges towards that which she knows she has no chance against. A split second later, her halberd blade clashes with Thyla's long whip. The blinding sparks that ensue, her mermaid form overshadows her body. I'm sick and tired of having to give up every time, and I'm sick and tired of being scared. Lami. Surrounding her, a high concentration of the punishing turns into countless blades that shoot straight at Thyla. Might as well take a step forward if I'm going to end up regretting it anyway. Controlled by the Ascendant, a red tide around Thyla ceases flowing. Thyla and her egg, too, have slowed down. Ugh. As a splitting headache hits you, the world around you seems to turn into a kaleidoscope, with glass balls flying in every which direction. While Lamia is aflame with determination, the corruption of your mind beacon is quickly dragging you all the way down to the darkest part that lies at the bottom of the flames. The more she uses her abilities, the faster it's wearing you down. This is what happens when one connects themselves to an ascendant, and being a genius only alleviates this consequence to a certain degree. And it doesn't help that there is only a thin layer of protection standing between you and the highly dense punishing that permeates the air around you. What little light there is left starts flowing towards the mermaid. You struggle with breathing as your airway becomes clogged with blood. No longer able to keep yourself upright, you collapse against the wall. Cough, gag. The world around you shakes more violently by the second. Probably won't be long before this place falls apart. You see her, she who is still fighting the monster in the dark, and reach out your hand at her with the last bit of your being. Mia. With it, your consciousness shatters into pieces, and the world around you grows twisted, crumbles, sinks. The last thing you see is the mermaid holding onto the egg that's nailed to the ground. What? Wait, hold on. Wait a minute, what's... Oh, that egg kind of looks like the weird moon creature. Smaller. Seafaring Extreme.
It hurts.
Yeah.
Get out of my sight.
Okay.
Yeah, like boom.
Hop into this.
Get out of here.
Why isn't it taking any damage? Oh, do I have to use the egg? Ah. So I have to use the egg to then be able to do damage to them. Got it. Okay. Whee. Oh. I'm not afraid of you anymore. Good for you, Lamia.
Get out. It hurts. Quiet. Yeah, like boom.
Ah.
Sink to the bottom of this sea.
Ah, this way. Up. Up the waterfall again. Okay.
Get out of my stack. Like boom. Wait. Let's talk about this. Quiet.
Up. I'm just gonna start rocking everything because I'm close to death. Yeah.
Finally over.
Yay. Okay. Let's see what happens from this. Deep sea suffocation. As the torrents of despair pull the hero into the suffocating depths of the sea, the Grey Ravens and the Guardian of the Cradle receive troubling news. You're neither Thyla, who tends to slowly lose her mind if she loses the egg, nor Lamia, who thrives with the egg. The collapse sends you straight into the pool at the bottom, tumbling into a deep well along with the current. The rumble of the earthquake continues in the distance, and it sounds as though some gigantic monsters are fighting where you can't see them. With your eyes locked on the well's opening, try to make your way up, only to slide back down completely exhausted. The fight just now was the last straw for you. Short halt. You've been relying on him since you came to. You find yourself not knowing what to do. We never thought that you'd have to say goodbye this soon. Valeria. You don't know much about Scarab, save for the few times you've seen Commandant Valeria walking alongside the rest of her squad. Death is commonplace on the battlefield, but many have still yet to grow used to it. You reach into one of the pockets, And there sits a candy he left behind. Eat the candy. The cool peppermint with a hint of alcohol restores some of your cool. You clutch onto the candy wrapper and put it back into your pocket. Got to find your name tag at least. Your body, however, seems to be failing you. You feel as if you've been skinned alive as your clothes rub against your wounds, and the cold and trembling slowly stop you from moving. Fever. When you put your hand onto your forehead, however, you feel a slimy lump of red. Ha. It doesn't help that your mind beacon hasn't gotten any better, and many negative and violent thoughts are now adding to the chaos. Try to cut off the connection. Except Lillian doesn't seem to want to let the connection go. I never knew ascendants could do this. No, I can't give up. I can't give up just yet. I haven't even got my pension yet. There are people waiting for me. The world will be doomed if Thyla is let out now. I'm stuck between these two. There are people waiting for me. This is what you keep telling yourself. But try as you may, you keep falling back into the well. You're trapped here, at your wit's end, and yet you don't know what you have to gain from the world out there either. Out there are countless hetero creatures, an invincible Thyla, and an ascendant who's shown her true colors. Despair fills your heart, and yet you never stop looking for tools to use in your surroundings. Suddenly, a smear flashes past, and you seem to know what it's trying to do. In the corner, it moves back and forth, as though trying to show you something. Go for a look. It's a dirty backpack. Inside is half a pack of compressed biscuits, a serum, a dagger, dozens of bullets, and 2 fever pills. Backpack looks like something that a scavenger has left here for some reason. Given the timing, you can't help but wonder if this is a trap. Be that as it may, you know that you don't have the luxury to just walk away from the backpack now. Eat the biscuits. They taste normal, like any compressed cookies you've had, except your throat is much too dry now for them to go down smoothly. Inject the serum. Just like the biscuits, there's nothing out of the ordinary about the serum. Take the pills. Let the biscuits and the pills begin to tear at your throat. Can't waste these. Got to swallow them. Hoping to make it easier for the pills to go down your throat. Turn your eyes to the serum that's brought you down here in the first place. To the stream that's brought you down here in the first place. Knowing that it's probably not the safest choice of liquid. Right then, the well starts shaking more violently, and the ground slips away what little water there was left. Swallow the pills anyway, as if you hadn't suffered enough. The bitter taste of the pills fills your mouth. It takes you a good 10 minutes to swallow both the biscuits and the pills, until the upper wall of the well starts shaking again. With it, the well itself slants to the right. Look up. Some seawater streams down this way through an opening in the well's wall, bringing with it a half-filled bottle of water and a pack of bandages that nearly hits you. Huh? Bottle is all crumpled. Pick it up, take an incredulous sniff, and take a gulp of it. Like everything you found in the backpack just now, there's nothing out of the ordinary about this liquid. What strikes you as weird is the well itself. God only knows what's coming down next. Gotta get out of here. Quickly bandage yourself with the bandage in the backpack, and with the dagger you just found, try to make your way up again. The dagger proves itself very useful. Almost there. Halfway up, however, the shaking begins again, and you have a bad feeling about it. Countless metal bars pierce through the wall, blocking the well's opening. In a panic, your hands let go, sending you falling straight back down to the bottom of the well. Was that Lithos? You said there was one last injection to go, which is what you need to stay alive. This place is the last place you want to be stuck in if that was Lithos. Pick up the dagger again, ready to give the climb another try, but the unevenness of the ground stops you cold. Inspect the ground. The light coming down through the well's opening, you feel the ground. Notice that the protruding parts seem to form a line of words. Please stay in. It's dangerous outside. I'm not going to sit around and wait for you to come and give me that last shot, Lithos. The well's shaking grows more violent still. Wormy writings begin to surface all around you, as though the walls were alive and were part of a hetero creature. I'm sorry, please, it's very dangerous here. Please stay here. It's very dangerous here. Dangerous, please stay. Dangerous, please, in, outside. Dangerous, please, this place is very dangerous. Please, here, very dangerous here. Dangerous, please stay. And repeating. I'm not going to repeat all of that. It won't last much longer. And Thylia is... The mouth of the well is closing in. Please stay here. It's too dangerous outside. The words sound like the plea of a dying man. I'm sorry, please. It's very dangerous here. Dangerous, dangerous. The words on the uneven walls scream out, pleading for the humans to stay here, for the humans here to stay. Fine, do as you say. I'll stay. The tremors all around gradually subside as the mouth of the well returns to its original state, as if understanding what you've said. The painkillers start to take effect. You're awash in a wave of fatigue. At your wit's end, you lean against the well's wall before sitting down and slowly closing your eyes. They're all holding up. Four 5398, 4 a.m. Grey Raven commences a blanket search in the designated area, locking onto a long-abandoned hospital as their target. Actually, I need to check something real quick. One moment. Okay, sorry. I had to check something. I thought I heard my doorbell ring, but no, we're good. Grey Raven commences a blanket search in the designated area, locking onto a long-abandoned hospital as their target. Sneaking into the underground morgue, Liv discovers a hidden door behind the freezer of the 13th body. What lies before the three of them now is a scene of utter despair. And an unbearable stench assaults the senses. Behind the hidden door is a room with 6 bodies, all bearing the same face. Some of them are stiff, while some have started to decompose. Others are still bleeding from their wounds. Regardless of their states, these bodies all bear tragic expressions, as if trying to show what they had been through before meeting their fates. Fighting the boiling pain in her mind, Lucia grasps Liv's trembling hand. Liv, Lee, the blood on some of these bodies is still fresh. There might still be hope. Let's check on them first. These might just be clones, or it might be the Ascendants trying to fool us, but whatever it might be. I know. Seeing Lucia struggle to find her words, Liv gently shakes her head. Regaining her composure, she quickly walks up to the blood-stained bodies to check for any signs of life. Lee, however, remains in place, looking somewhat out of it. Lee? Lee says nothing, as though he hasn't heard a thing. Lee! It's only when Lucia jolts him by the shoulder that Lee finally seems to snack back to the present from a distant past. Let's check the other rooms. We're not giving up any hope. With a nod, Lee quietly leaves the pool of blood behind. He didn't give up, nor was he crushed by what he'd seen. He was just feeling overwhelmed by a familiar heartache. What he doesn't understand, though, is why he's finding it familiar. Breaking through the partition wall covered in dust, the trio finds a clean space beyond the stench and bloodstains. What is that? A2146597H2709P0H921. In the space are rows of empty cryogenic chambers, with only the one at the far end containing a person who looks exactly like their commandant. This commandant, still alive. Lucia, call for backup. Called them the moment we entered. They're on their way now. But is this really okay? The three look at the body before them, still with a heartbeat, and exchange silent glances. Can they really turn a blind eye to that certain question they haven't been able to answer if their commandant never turns up again? And just exactly what would they have to do with this look-alike on the off chance that they found their commandant soon? After a long silence, three decide to leave these questions unanswered. Commandant has only been missing for 16 days. Is that really enough time for someone, even with growth drugs, to go from birth to the state this clone is in now? These clones were here before Commandant went missing, that much I can say for sure. But when exactly did... Wait. We can hack into this terminal here. Lee brings up a projection keyboard and inserts his storage device into the terminal. After quite some time, surveillance footage from a while back is recovered. The footage shows Lithos overseeing a couple of constructs as they move a large machine in here. What is that? I know what that is. It's a memory synchronizer. And Professor Hippocrates has data on it. A memory synchronizer. Yes, it synchronizes memories between two brains. It was used during the Golden Age to treat amnesia, and in some illegal research. It damaged the brain easily, though, so they stopped using it. In the footage, Lithos gently caresses the machine, muttering to himself, "Now, I'll have to bring you all here from Fort Winter. This is where I'll be giving your memories back to you. Let's hope this machine still works. I'm sorry it took me that long to finally notice who you are." The footage ends here. Fort Winter, huh? If what he said is true, that means these people were created before Commandant went missing. Wait. A human skeleton. They had lost all patience. I saw a human skeleton near the access device when Alpha and I were at Fort Winter. Is that when? A human skeleton. As in all bones and no flesh. No, I couldn't date it because it didn't seem like it had decayed naturally. But here's my guess. If there was a window of opportunity for anyone to do anything before Commandant went missing, it would have been after the mission with Wanshi to set up the domain nodes and Longinus Arsenal vaporized the Red Tide. Remember how we were told to stand by in the prep room when they clearly could have used help? I do. Commandant was trying to find out what was happening, but was immediately taken away. They said they need to monitor memory replays caused by the corrupted mind beacon. Nobody knew what those medical checks were for or what they took. Says Lucia, the hilt of the knife in her hand on the verge of being crushed by her grip. Is this all for Project Winter? But Fort Winter has been turned upside down. Why can't they just let it go already? They must have run out of choice. People probably shunned them at all costs, even if they managed to survive the punishment from the purifying force. Which is why they've chosen the thorny path, says Liv as she tries to suppress her own anger. Lithos needed memory sync because mind and self-consciousness go hand in hand, and that couldn't have happened without memory. And that's why they took Commandant. They could memory sync Commandant. I'm sorry, mister. I've lost track of Spaniard, and Thyla has gone berserk from being awakened prematurely. But you, severely injured, are fast asleep at the bottom of the well. Lithos is reporting the situation here to his agent amidst the chaos. Vonnegut says nothing, waiting for Lithos to finish delivering all the bad news at once. He knows well that Lithos wouldn't have come to bother him if there were a workaround. The three of them orchestrated an explosion, destroying all of the mind backup stored nearby Thyla. I can't keep her stabilized anymore with my replicated mind. Your replicated mind was never stable to begin with. It was only meant to serve as a sedative while Thyla was asleep. It's supposed to crash and burn as soon as she awakes. Which is why I told you to seek reliable backup plans, even if that means taking more time. I'm just hoping to speed things up with your plan. He clenches his arms in self-reproach, nearly crushing them. It's my fault. I left Loki in my room and she broke through the partition, and that's how they found out about that room. Shrek's replicated mind has been destroyed too. If we don't do something about Thyla, the consciousness he's implanted into the cradle will be contaminated and collapse too. And we'll lose control of this place. And of her cradle, too, if that happens. That's exactly why you failed to notice it when they approached your room. I've told you to exercise your caution if you want to control the cradle with him. I've also advised you against keeping Loki around. Their experiment is finished, and what you need to do now is free her from her suffering. She's one of us. She deserves to live, and if she dies, you allow those humans to seek death, yet you deny Loki the same. Is it Loki who needs to live? Or is it you who needs her to live? I'm sorry. What do you make of this, Commandant? I don't know. We had no idea who the connector was behind that wall when we were running mind connection experiments back at Fort Winter. I am not who I was then. Spaniard is no longer the same Spaniard I connected with. What do you think now? Mister, I promise you that no matter what happens, I will see this plan through. He answers Vonnegut's doubts with a promise, and I ask that you believe me. Your mission isn't finished, so don't dissolve yourself into Thyla just yet. Yes, of course. It's because Lithos can only die after this that he asks his agent for help. It still pains Lithos to know that his death is being treated as an insignificant matter. Lamia infiltrated this place and took Cinderlick. Luna's pawn didn't get here too late at all. The figure cloaked in darkness ponders for a moment. I needn't bother, then, since it is an alpha. As long as Thyla lives on, the cradle can be rebuilt. This Commandant is just one injection and a little time away from the full effect of the medication. We need to find them at once. The egg has accumulated quite a few stable shards and is only one step away from hatching. We just need to see it hatch and make sure Thyla survives now. That's all you need. What are we going to do with Cinderlick if she doesn't hatch? She's well prepared for that. She went back to Thyla knowing this might happen. I'm not going to stop you if you can salvage her, too. Lithos knows that isn't something he is capable of. Not to mention that Vonnegut starts entertaining the thought of forsaking the cradle the second he learns of Lamia's invasion. Using Lamia would maximize what he can get out of Thyla and the Commandant, because he needs the cradle and the egg to connect with each other to bewitch the holder. Now, with the joystick gone, he's lost control of both Thyla and the cradle. Use the key I left to unlock the device in the control room. You'll find your last mind replica there. You mean? Right. That's where the replicated frame you left behind before becoming an Ascendant. Stabilize Thyla with it. Both Thyla and the cradle are out of control. The frame alone won't last long. That's why you need to inject the Commandant with the final dose as soon as possible. Leave the retrieval of the egg to Thyla and Thyla to Lilith. Lithos wants to say more, then realizes his own mistakes don't give him the right to object. He once hoped to use his past self to escape back to a time when things were untarnished. Looking back now, however, he knows he can't be further from achieving it. Thinking that he had this coming to him, Lithos almost wants to laugh at himself. While we're still at this, Lithos. But this person, now a completely different man from when they first met, quietly stops him and utters the very same words he did the day they first met. Don't rely too much on pain. Gently touching the spikes in his chest that won't spare him the pain, Lithos passes through the corridor filled with hetero creatures to retrieve the key Vonnegut mentioned and heads towards the control room. As he walks, he removes the hair accessory from his head, shedding the long hair and dress that belonged to Rose, and, with a sigh, changes into the clothes he used to wear at the orphanage. I'm sorry, Rose. I might look like you, but I still have a hard time bringing myself to like myself, and pain is still the only way I know to seek forgiveness. Let me be the person I was and face the person I was then. Until now, Lithos has been relying on pain and self-punishment to stay lucid. This is the mind beacon Lithos has always been attentive to. He has come thus far walking down this path. And while Lithos has been replicated more times than he can ever recount, this individual known as Lithos will always remember that very moment when Paper Crane, the medical chair a kind-hearted donor had given him, was turned into a punishment chair. All those painful times he has had to live through after becoming an Ascendant. One of which is that time he fell for a revenge's trick and accepted his help. All the fathers from the orphanage and everything revenge had done. And now all the unbloomed flowers were nailed to Paper Crane before they had their buds forced open and pistils plucked again and again until they became specimens or toys. They said they were doing this for his good, claiming that they loved those little buds too much to ever want to hurt them. Now a grown-up himself, Lithos equates intense, painful tug at the heart with love, having never truly experienced love in that distorted, sequestered paradise. The more intense the pain carved into his soul, the more genuine his twisted confession. All of these have turned Lithos into the person he is today. One who would feed a rabbit a piece of flesh he cut off himself. Did it for the rabbit. I can't just sit around and watch it starve, can I? But what becomes of the rabbit that's tasted flesh and blood? Lithos' love has led him nowhere, much like this path that's taken him far as an Ascendant. He sets out hoping to see a brand new future, only to find himself wandering further into the thorns and fog. He knows only too well that a villain won't stop being a villain, simply because he's been victimized. which tears his soul in half. He is Lithos, and he is also Father's. He has become an offender since he was made a victim. He wishes they could all live peacefully, looking forward to tomorrow, instead of having to trek the long, twisted river that the Ascension Network and hurting so many people along the way. Having been raised by this fathers, Lithos doesn't know how to go about life in ways his fathers have never shown him, which is why he sees what he's doing now as the best way out. If the disaster train leaves no time for anyone, then he needs to act now. And to that end, he doesn't care how many people he is going to hurt, so long as he can keep a handful of them safe. And this is the kind of filtering that Lithos stands by. He's been tormented by what he has done, and he resorts to lying to help himself feel better. He's been telling people that he's doing these things for their good, that they have to do as he says to survive, to the point he falls prey to his own lies. Dying on a periodic basis helps get these heavy emotions off Lithos' chest, as much as he knows that this is but a temporary getaway. His idea of an ideal death would be to get torn and crushed completely alongside Paper Crane, all the while consciously enduring torment 1,000-fold worse than what he has had to in the past. It's only through pain so excruciating that he thinks he can find temporary forgiveness in himself for himself. Only then that he can bid a graceful farewell. Jesus Christ. 26-13. A fish back in water. In endless despair, only one feels reborn. Torrents of fate drag into the deep sea all those who have drowned. Suffocated, are all on the verge of death. In endless despair, only one feels reborn. She can do all these things now. It has hit her that she is in control of everything, so long as she holds onto the strange-looking red giant egg in her arms. Neither the entangled sea anemones nor the arrogant sea fairies can hope to stop the weapon in her hand. This egg, what exactly is it? Thyla can make it attack out of its own accord, and it can make me, as an ascendant, more powerful with it. Strange how those hetero creatures can't use it, though. She holds up the giant oddity for a good look. She finds herself drawn to it the longer she keeps her eyes on it, her mind seemingly swaying like a flickering flame in the wind. Had it not been for the mind connection of that commandant, Lami is sure she would have been swallowed by the same illusions that had engulfed her before. This time, however, she is able to see past those illusions with a lucid mind. This reminds me of the little match girl. In the story, the warmth and light coming from the match gives the girl the power to fight back. Lamia reaches out to spite herself, her fingertip gliding over its translucent surface. That moment, the egg, like a struck match, draws her into a dazzling shopping street. She's tempted to reach for the goods. A sudden chill makes her shiver. Lamia walks down the nearly frozen street, her consciousness fragmented like a scavenger's clothes. Guided by the mind beacon of that certain human whose whereabouts have become a mystery, Lamia makes her way into the street in the illusion. She looks at the phantoms on either side. It feels like a kaleidoscope, reflecting a colorful world with omnipotent doctors, endless dry food, bright classrooms, and intimate friends. They almost seem like they came straight out of a child's imagination. Lamia looks enviously at these things she once longed for as she lingers by a few phantoms showcases. She wants these wishes that these phantoms showcases are displaying to come to her side. If only all of this were real. Lamia once again raises the egg match, and her fingertips skim over its surface. Faint red glow comes to life that shows the phantoms showcases. Instantly, the illusion becomes real and tangible, like a personal shopping guide. The egg match starts showing Lamia the life she yearns for. At 11:30 a.m., Mother prepares a hearty breakfast, and with a gentle call, the forever 16-year-old Lamia wakes up from a bedroom filled with toys, books, and stuffed animals. At noon, after breakfast, she opens her terminal to find 99 messages from friends, each one kind and eager for Lamia's reply. At 1:30 p.m., when she's finished replying to all her friends' messages, Lamia takes her father's spaceship to school in Babylonia. No, don't replay my memories. Be peaceful. At 1:30 p.m., when she's finished replying to all her friends' messages, Lamia takes her father's spaceship to school in Babylonia. At 2 p.m., she walks through the classroom surrounded by her classmates and teachers. Her teacher proudly announces her as the top scorer on the test. 4:30 p.m., when school ends, she hangs out with her friends. They take pictures for memory, and everyone wants a picture with Lamia. At 7 p.m., Father picks her up in his spaceship, and of course, Mother has already prepared dinner and a late-night snack. Anyone who's experienced a truly ordinary daily life can tell that these scenes are anything but ordinary. If anything, they seem more like scenes coming straight out of the life of a princess than a fairy tale. Yeah, especially school only being 2 hours, what the heck? What price does one need to pay for these wishes to come true? What are the potential risks? Lamia, the little match girl, has no time to think about these. Mother. Despite herself, she's drawn towards that figure. Following her choice, the egg match locks on the future where Libya survives. Searching for key nodes. Lustrous approves Libya's pregnancy change. Lustrous does not approve Libya's pregnancy stay. Libya follows the original plan to return to the continent with a supply ship for vacation, working at an ordinary laboratory nearby. Lamia is born. Loading future preview based on user's known information. Age estimated at 16 years old. Observer's request for world event loading delayed. Lamia stays in the corridor, watching as the egg shows the peaceful golden age. She finds herself back in that familiar home, in that familiar living room, seeing her mother, whom she knows well yet barely recognizes, busy working at the workbench on something that little Lamia can't understand. Mother? The piercing cold seems to diminish slightly with her presence. Mother, is there anything to eat for dinner? There's plenty in the fridge. Help yourself. I've still got work to do. Mother is expressionless. This is nothing like the dream life Lamia has envisioned. Yet this future is based on reality, with only the minimal nodes changed. Where's the fridge? Mother? Finally looking up this way from work, Mother looks indifferent and makes no effort to cover her annoyance. So stupid that you can't even find the fridge. Can't imagine you'd last a day without me around. I gave up my entire future because of you. How much longer are you going to keep me stalled with all these trivialities of life? These words shatter the observer's heart, sending ripples across Lamia's mind. I'm out of time. Her tone suddenly grows poignant, catching Lamia by surprise. Go away. She now speaks in the same cold tone. Leave us alone if you've got nothing else to ask. We need to work. Mother. May I ask you a question? You have 1 minute. Fire away. 30 seconds. Mother, is it true? 15 seconds. Is it true that she wouldn't have died if I hadn't been around to begin with? Constructed from wishes, the simulation of Lamia's future collapses completely and merges with her past. It was on that fateful day that Lamia asked the question, one that had been weighing on her heart for far too long. Have you finished the problems I gave you last time? Sorry, but they're too difficult for me. And the textbook? He cast Lamia a cold look silently before standing up to leave. She despised her own ignorance whenever she was given problems like these. Only I could get out of here earlier. The world out there had the answers I needed to answer all these questions. Searching for key nodes. Change a few more nodes. The egg burns up once again, illuminating the world behind Lamia and revealing countless flickering figures before her. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Lamia, the youngest scientist the world has ever seen. Brimming with excitement from the stage, the host welcomes a petite figure. Now, let's find out exactly how amazing this kid is. Dr. Lamia. Yes? Help me summarize the tasks from all of today's meetings and chat records and organize the schedule for tomorrow. Sure. Lamia is safely born. Leaves Atlantis ahead of time. Dr. Lamia, can you help me solve a math problem? Sure. Sent to an orphanage. Passerby enjoying an ice cream walks by the television as Lamia's exciting life unfolds in it. A new version. Let's get one. I heard they made this with the mind data of real people. Got to do with Project Thylia, apparently. Really? I didn't know that. Did you hear that? If you don't want to go to school and just wait for some magic to fill your head with knowledge, you'll end up in a jar, turned into a service AI with a bunch of other people. Now comes the blind draw. For Dr. Lamia, we've got classic human gray, playful monkey pink, and even a mermaid edition the world has yet to see. The audience's applause can be heard from the television as a terrified child starts crying out loud amidst the cheers. The camera isn't showing Lamia's face, but the child's cry already speaks volumes for her. Order now at all major specialty stores. Dad, look at this. On the bustling street side, a girl passing by the window laughs as she pats the head of the product, me. Becoming a candidate for a mind data human experimentation. This looks like a monkey. Experimentation and commercialization successful. As her mind grows unstable, Lamia's wishes are once again poured into a cup filled with memories. Lamia finds herself by Atlantis' corridor, watching as countless researchers pass by coldly like mindless drones. She tries calling their names, hoping to get some emotional support, but doesn't get any response. Which leaves Lamia stranded as she watches the humans and machines pass her by in an orderly fashion. When they pass her by, they move around her, reminiscent of cells avoiding a blood clot still in the process of forming on a blood vessel, or tourist passing by an animal's cage. She lowers her head, holding the empty coffee cup in her hands and caressing the engravings on it. My future self, I want to be like everyone. I need to make it happen. It's her yet to be realized wish, in the form of a bunch of crooked letters paired with a meaningless layout. Wanna bet on your luck? Wanna bet that you'd be sent to a legal orphanage instead of getting dragged into some inhumane experiments? Luck, huh? As long as she has luck on our side, nothing bad is going to happen to her after she gets out of this place. She'll finally be able to go to school, which she's read about in books, where she can enjoy bathing in the sunlight and listening to the calls of cicadas and the laughter of people. Where the teachers would start with the basics and guide them with patience. It's okay if Mother isn't perfect, as long as I get to live the happy life of a normal person going to school. The egg glows red in her arms. She pats it devoutly and closes her eyes. All of a sudden, through the afternoon sunlight and the calls of cicadas, a piece of chalk comes flying at Lamia, who sits in the second to last row, and lands squarely on her. Lamia, daydreaming again? The entire class bursts into laughter. No, I wasn't. Then answer the question I just went over. She frantically picks up her textbook and flips to the right page, but even with gentle reminders from the desk next to her, she still can't answer the question. You're just not cut out for this. Your mother signed you up for this intensive program thinking her daughter was oh so knowledgeable. Starting to think she's intentionally putting either me or you through this suffering. I just realized Lamia looks like the girl from Watamote. Jesus Christ. In her silence, the entire class bursts out laughing again. Cozy sunlight, calls of cicada, and laughter of friends. Everything is as she had hoped for, yet falls short of her expectations. This is a rare opportunity. I need to make it count. She picks up her textbook, studies, practices, and then dozes off again. It's not until the school bell rings and everyone getting ready to leave the classroom that Lamia finally stands up from her seat and quietly sighs in relief. It'd be perfect if I could skip all the classes and just go straight to when school ends. She lowers her head, the egg in her hand revealing its intended purpose. Try to dumb down school a little, if that's possible. Normal school would do. Polishing the egg, Lamia changes 31,206 key nodes in one go. Lamia figures that she'd be okay going back to a time when her mother wasn't around. If there is nothing she can do to change her mother's mind about sending her to an advanced school. Humans of the Golden Age didn't yet master the technology to control time. But Lamia is sure that she can count on people in the future, and that the egg won't take care of that just fine. And she decides that she's not going to bother with the number of changed time nodes she's seeing on the Phantom, since she doesn't see what impact they might have. She knows her wish has been fulfilled when the dreadfully tedious classroom disappears, leaving her in the after-hour tranquility. Lamia finally found her long-awaited peace and happiness, as well as the life of an ordinary person that fits her definition of ordinary. As the 4 seasons fast forward, Lamia goes through college and enters the workforce. She is now a tour guide working at the Copperfield Aquarium. She finds work more tedious than school, and she'd curse her life even when she'd only need to show 3 visitors around a day. Before she knows it, however, that fateful day comes. The alarms that once flooded Atlantis are now blasting through the aquarium, letting everyone know that the punishing is here. Visitors and staff run for dear life in every which way. Standing in the escaping crowd, Lamia tries to fast forward time, only to realize the world becomes ravaged at a faster pace as she does so. She doesn't want to be a construct again and dies in the hands of a cleaning robot while fleeing. Only the punishing never happened. Lamia's desires inflate, but when she once again raises the omnipotent egg, the punishing virus, phantoms offer no answers. It, the tower, couldn't erase its own existence, nor the punishing. What do I do now? Going through her memory, trying to find someone she hopes she can talk to, she suddenly recalls Roland. I wonder what Roland would do with this opportunity. With a snap of her fingers, Roland materializes before her. You're lending me this egg that can fulfill any wish. It doesn't exactly fulfill any wish though, which is why I wanted to see what you'd do. Well, he takes the egg and without a moment's hesitation chooses to fulfill a childhood wish. And just as Roland had hoped, his life progresses without any hiccups. A life devoid of lies, falsehoods, and drama, mundane and ordinary to the core. He stays by his mother and brother, repeating daily chores, schoolwork, and childish games, living a life with an end visible at a glance. Don't you find it boring? Deeply engrossed, Roland says nothing. But what would you do when the punishing hits? She was hoping Roland would show her what to do, but on the day the alarms echo through the square, Roland simply makes the same decision she does, more candidly than ever. He bids farewell to his loved ones, then waits for death to come knocking on his door. I think that's pretty much it. Roland shrugs. They abandoned me in the real world. Might be looking at a different script here, but lies are lies all the same. It was a great dream, and I really enjoyed it. Can I lend you the egg and ask you to give it another try? You want me to relive the lies? He bursts into laughter and immediately sets up an accident. A few simple moves, Roland turns his half-year-old self over in the cradle so he faces down. And it all ends even before it even starts. It's over. In the empty corridor, Lamia finds herself all alone once again. Jesus Christ, Roland. I mean, based on everything that's happened to people in this world, I don't blame them, but also Jesus Christ. Daughter of the sea. She wants to catch up to those people and see for herself the starry sky that have given up the lives trying to pursue. Okay. I'm gonna go get another cup of coffee before continuing this. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. Slightly longer because I also put some chicken breast to defrost, so it's ready to go once I'm done streaming. All right. In Plato's allegory of the cave, he compares the uneducated to a group of prisoners chained in a cave from birth. In the allegory, the prisoners face the lightless wall in the cave, chained so that they can't turn their heads. People outside the cave pass these prisoners by carrying torches whose light shines upon the weapons, passerbys, and mannequins. Prisoners, on the other hand, see nothing but the shadows of these things projected onto the wall because they've always been facing the wall. Seeing no real objects, they naturally come to believe that the shadows are the only reality. They were suddenly freed from their shackles, stepped out of the cave, and forced to look directly at the fire and accept that all they used to see were mere illusions. They would surely feel pain in the process, and confusion, too. Just like a mermaid princess venturing above the sea surface for the first time, gazing at a kingdom she's never seen from behind the reefs. Just like a little girl lighting a match for the first time and catching glimpses of all her desires in its light. Just like Cinderella asking her fairy godmother for the first time to let her go to the ball. Now, Lamia, too, finds herself questioning herself between opportunity and reality. What do I want exactly? Until this day, if someone asked her what she desired, she would have answered without hesitation. But wishes hold no value if they can all come true like a breeze. She finds herself feeling lost with all these vibrant futures laid out before her. Then take another step forward, be a bit more greedy, and make all your wishes. The egg controller lies quietly in Lamia's arms, softly tempting her. He hopes Lamia will be dominated by her desires and be insatiable with the status quo. Then, he wants her to want the omnipotent egg so badly that she refuses to help that commandant who wants the egg dead. So the commandant can slowly weaken with the injection and return to Mother's loving arms. Light another match. The one-winged girl, too, whispers softly in the midst of the bizarre illusions. If this makes you happy, I want Mother. I want her to fulfill all her wishes and to be happy. Searching for key nodes. I want to ask her if it was all really because of me. No, please don't blame it all on me. 32 time nodes need to be changed. A baffling image flashes past her sight. Is that a crack of some sort? Lamia decides to ignore it. Knowledge. I want to answer all questions as my true self. 172 time nodes need to be changed. Cracks seem to have grown a bit. Friends. I want to be like everyone else and not a monkey in a zoo to be stared at. 392 time nodes need to be changed. These are still ordinary lives that people in peaceful times have had, but not grand enough to be wished. I want to be a pop star. Lamia, the superstar's latest single, Abyssal Melody, the cover. Wow, it's breathtaking. That is some really great art. Jesus, that actually is really beautiful. Lamia, Lamia, Lamia. The observer in the corridor sees the dangers seeded by these wishes. Want to be a knowledgeable teacher so that the best of students will humbly seek my advice. The observer knows these are the consequences of tampering with time, and that she will tear the world apart if she doesn't stop. Want to be an almighty philanthropist. Everyone in need of the conservation area thanks you for your selfless kindness. Please do allow us to make a game based on your beautiful body. It's going to last for centuries to come alongside your name. To be more powerful than Alpha. This is the power bestowed upon me by the Monastery of Purity, Gabriel. The decayed skull reflects the mermaid's bleak figure. Master, you've arrived. Awakened by the rift, punishing pervades the land faster than ever. No, there's more to it than that. Merely tolerating Scylla and her cradle slaughterhouse to appear in this world will drown it in a crimson flood. The tragedy of the Puglia Forest Park is about to be repeated manifold. Is this the future she hopes for? Or is it destruction led by ignorance? The mermaid, lost in wishes, remains oblivious to the danger. I will rise above the Ascension Network and make all the agents bow before me. This planet, too, is ready to hatch. Her wishes are innocent and her daydreams commonplace. The observer knows the world couldn't bear the consequences of having these nodes altered. And the mermaid who makes these wishes is walking down the safe corridor of the fourth dimension. She admires the countless futures illuminated by the egg match. In these future simulations, Lamia has lived through countless lifetimes, having all her wishes fulfilled to the point of desirelessness. What wishes do I have left? She keeps her eyes on the dimming light of the egg and the fading mind beacon as she ponders how to make her remaining chances count. In the mirror at the end of the corridor, she saw the shadow of Atlantis. Mirror. This brings Lamia back to those times when she sat on the other side of the screen, looking at the dead and seeing an ideal world from reality. She wants to reach out to those who are no longer there, like fishing for the reflection of stars in the ocean. Stars. The daughter of the sea looks at the reflection of stars and makes her final wish. I wish to venture into the starry sea to see the starscape you longed for. I want to understand why it is that you chose to move forward even at the cost of your lives. Lamia steps into the starry sky and leaves the solar system behind in a breeze. She raises her head, looking puzzled. To her delight, she realizes that she has no trouble traversing black holes yet to be explored by mankind. She skims distant stars, feeling for the full outline of the universe beyond human cognition. She has become nothingness and an eternal cosmic voyager. She sought all philosophical answers, and yet she doesn't know what significance these questions hold, nor what the answers mean. Jumping at her, these words are no different from a foreign language she's never studied. She sees the answers to science and everything unknown. Yet seeing them is all she's able to do with the answers. Existing beyond the darkness that shrouds the cave perennially, these unknowns remain a puzzle to her, so much so that she isn't even aware of them. She embarks on an endless journey, throughout which she imbibes the stars and seas. After a long period of bewilderment, she finally comes to grips with the meaning of all that could be seen and their significance. On touching the edge of the universe, the darkness that has clouded her mind begins to fade. The mermaid, dancing among the stars, looks back and laughs at the wishes she had just made. Singing, earning people's respect. In the vast universe, these desires seem so petty to the point of laughable. She has reached the knowledge of those who the first have gone to space. She waves her tail and swims back to Earth. She plucks the moon in a breeze and toys with it in her hands. That pale blue dot. Earth is hit with tides that swallow the land, sinking Atlantis, the place she once held dear, to the bottom of the sea. The few remaining souls vanish beneath the sudden tide, their suffocating cries failing to reach her ears before Mother devours them all. She gazes at the truth. Indifferent to the destruction, she lets herself drift around in the starry sea. Rise and fall of 1,570,000 cosmic civilizations cycle like sunrise and sunset under her watch, flowing incessantly. Under the unyielding laws of cosmic wars, the key in her hand, just like the moon, is nothing but a substitute for a toy. Time, flowing ever faster, erases the countless years and ages, turning Lamia as silent as the stars themselves. When the starry sea before her eyes collapses to zero, the light of the mind beacon, in reality, will too extinguish. Time's up. She gazes lovingly at the universe as it reboots in the simulation, refusing to return from this immensity to a reality she knows to be dull and draining. Reality. Lamia in the real world is still the same villain who needs to fight with all her might just to survive, making most of her wishes nothing but a far-fetched fantasy. By now, Lamia is very clear about the egg's intended purpose. State your goal, and it will fill the path to your goal with the actions it thinks you need to take, after which you'll be shown what it is like if everything goes as you wish. But all these actions are in the past. Could it be that Vonnegut has figured out a way to travel back in time? Lamia suddenly recalls that Luna has mentioned in passing that Vonnegut was looking for a key. A key. The egg is the key. What door can it open? Lamia murmurs to herself. The phantoms around her immediately show her the answer with the light that remains from the mind beacon. That weird tower turns red again. But how is she supposed to go to the tower in the clean zone? And how is she supposed to make the tower red again? But it could be a second tower, right? How is she supposed to travel back in time using the tower? How is she supposed to change the time nodes she's seen in her simulations one by one? And where exactly is Vonnegut trying to go by doing this? Lamia still doesn't know the answers to these questions. She now sees how important the egg is. This is what Luna and Vonnegut want. I'm sure this is the solution to all the issues that came with refiltering. Refiltering. It finally hits Lamia. Just like the corrupted, the minds of agents have been corrupted long ago. Yet the minds are stable enough for their self to persist. Perhaps humans Agents and ascendants are really as dead as the corrupted. Losing connection with the Ascension Network means losing oneself, which is why it's so hard to break free. Transcendents, though, slightly different, are still subject to the control of agents or ascendants. The punishing inherently stores a vast amount of ownerless mind data. The data congregates, which in turn allows the Ascension Network to upgrade. I guess I can see the resemblance. On the one hand, she has the consciousness and information of ascendants left in the Ascension Network, their original selves. On the other hand, there are cobbled selves, forming from all other ownerless consciousness and information. The essence of refiltering is the evolved weight of these cobbled selves, messages that overrides the agent's authority. This is the parade of the punishing virus, where the messages contained proclaim their autonomy. They aim to break free from the control of agents, coalesce into independent entities. If left unchecked, one day it'll become a vast army, merging into an unbeatable, incomprehensible, indescribable monster. One that will bring destruction to both humans and ascendants. Agents must undergo refiltering to reclaim their authority. Not just about survival, but also for the sake of a more distant future. That's why Vonnegut created the egg key. Egg, being a highly concentrated punishing heteromer, likely stores a consciousness that absolutely obeys the ascendants. Not only can it help ascendants pass refiltering, but it can also come up with simulations using the messages stored in the punishing. Messages in the punishing have a fourth dimension to it to begin with. Lamia's gaze travels through the starry sea and into the past. That giant hetero creature from back then was meant for creating a big enough signal tower, too. They did get their message from the future, but humans beat them to it. They probably wouldn't even have brought up Project Thyla had Vonnegut gotten what he wanted then. Yeah, that thing. Almost completely forgotten about that thing. I get it now. The messages are not unlike the fire on a torch that shines through the dark. And this, Lamia figures, is exactly what Vonnegut is after. At the same time, it also hits her. Next, Thyla, who's laid the egg, is connected to doors of all sizes to begin with. Just as the hetero hive mother connects hetero sapiens in the red tide, she has become their central processor, like a queen bee. I can use that to control the hetero creature she gives birth to if I can get my hands on her. The egg, the key to the tower, and Thyla, the queen bee controlling all the hetero creatures. This is what Vonnegut wants out of Project Thyla. And this is pretty useful to me, too. While Lamia has come to grips with how to use the egg, she still hasn't quite wrapped her head around what's made Thyla the queen bee that she is. What to know about Thyla? Contrary to her swelling ambition, the mind beacon is growing weaker still. Is the human severing connection, or are they about to lose consciousness? Now of all times. She sighs in resignation, having realized that her mind connection is about to end. I just need to get out of here with the egg and head for that tower. That's where my wishes have a chance to come true. Question is, how does she get out of here? Lamia knows that her mind would go berserk, which in turn would lead her to destruction if she can't establish another mind connection that allows her to use the egg. Does that mean she has to beg the human, or is she supposed to deceive and use the person like what all villains do? The Grey Raven Commandant. She feels reluctant, but why? Lamia withdraws her thoughts from wandering in the cosmos and starts sketching the contours of humanity anew. That particular human once mistook Lamia for Lillian, yet overlooked Lillian's suspected desertion and instead showed her trust. Did the Commandant do that because there was no other choice? Or are they actually people willing to be kind to her? I can't believe this still bothers me so much. Lamia looks back at her newly made wishes and laughs in self-derision when she notices something shared between them. Just as the people of Atlantis pursue the distant cosmos and stars, Lamia, too, chases after them. After all those who step into the light out of the cave to see the real world. She longs to be as formidable as they are, to stand where they do, to see the landscapes they've seen, and to step into the very starry sky that would sacrifice their very own lives to touch. I'm done staying in the ignorant cave. As all her daydreams come true in the shadows, Lamia finally understands her true desire. Carefully holding up the egg key in her hands, she asks the question of her heart's desire, one rooted in reality, yet she's been too afraid to face directly to all the silent stars. Please tell me, the one who just discovered who I really am, will they forgive me? Oof. 26-15, Driftwood. Oh. That's what they use when you're not using someone. You're not actually using someone. Bottom of the well, the Commandant has a dream related to Mother. Her appearance is still that of a young girl, making her anything but a mother. It is therefore logical to conclude that she was merely assigned the title Mother. That's that. Got to be that. Dear baby, my precious one. She has a delicate string of flowers tied to her hand as she sits in the room imprisoned by the shadows of the window bars. And yet, the gentle afternoon sun streaming through the window carries with it peace and serenity. I love you. Mommy loves you. She's caught between dreams and reality, her figure torn into pieces alongside her thoughts. They merge with all these concepts named a mother and take on an appearance that's both familiar and barely recognizable. Welcome back, my child. She settles down. Look at you, getting yourself hurt so much again. Mother picks up the hot soup from the table and kneels before the person covered in scars. But I know, it's not your fault. There are just so many troubles and unbeatable monsters out there. It is truly remarkable that you've come this far. Now, forget work and training and stay home for a while. Mommy really misses you. Don't worry. I'm going to help you figure things out. I don't trust this. He carefully blows on the spoonful of soup until it's cool enough to drink, then passes it over. Oh. Open mouth. Familiar taste awakens a sense of security. Long drowned by pain and the instinct to survive, you grasp her hand. Still hurts, doesn't it? I'll buy some painkillers and call the doctor. She sets down the bowl, dialing the hospital's number over and over, only to be met with a busy signal. That's not good. A helpless reality seeps into the dream. Don't worry, Mommy will always be with you. Rest now and leave the rest to me. Distorted message. No way, you're never in trouble. I can't tell you how happy I am seeing you back home. Don't say that. Mother chokes up for a moment. You've saved so many lives. You're the best. All I've ever asked of you is you come back home safe and sound. If I could have a wish, I just wish I could be part of your happiness. Don't blame yourself for the scars. She embraces the injured child, taking on the child's pain as her own as she sobs to the wounds, her body trembling uncontrollably. She is a mother through and through, and she can't imagine herself being anything other than a mother. Even so, for a child covered in wounds, this is the ideal cradle, an absolute sanctuary. I've always prayed for heroes and God to protect you, to save you from peril, and to bring you back safely. The corruption of your mind beaconed and nightmares linger, dragging you into a still deeper whirlpool, putting out the mind beacon you've been holding onto with all your might. There is no time to figure out who she truly is and how this dream, brought up on more occasions than one, has to do with Project Thyla. Fortunately, painkillers are gradually blurring consciousness, are working together to offer you a bit of relief, saving you from the excruciating pain that's been keeping you awake. Within the lullaby weaved by them, you, severely injured and feverish, curl up at the bottom of the well, falling into a deep sleep. Until 24 hours later, a collapse from the distance finally awakens you from the slumber. Looking up towards the well's mouth, you find the upper layer is no longer unobstructed. Having rested sufficiently, you feel physically replenished. Give it one more try. Cautious and prepared for yet another shake and any sort of abnormality, you pick up the dagger and start climbing upward. This time, however, the well seems as if it were dead, remaining still without any movement. As the sun reclaims the sky, this absurd paradise becomes shrouded in a new layer of chaos. The distance is a building that has collapsed into a gaping maw with countless floating debris, bringing to mind a scab that's formed over a giant's wound. Where to go next? When you look around, you see the jellyfish-like phantoms once again. Wave at them. The phantoms show no response. Go check them out. Like a school of startled fish, the phantoms swim away. Is this how they're supposed to be? At this moment, a woman's prolonged wail can be heard coming from the depths of the paradise. Well, that caught me off guard. The sound immediately triggers an earthquake, causing the entire space to shake violently. These shakes feel nothing like what I've experienced in the well. The walls nearby crumble with the vibration, out of which deformed hetero creatures emerge. You immediately run for it in the opposite direction, but the creatures show no intention of attacking you. Survey your surroundings. And just as you thought, you see them everywhere as you run. These twisted beings lack the intelligence for a full-fledged plan. There must be monsters or ascendants lurking around that are far more dangerous than these creatures. Lithos. Hearing the word, a shadow on the ceiling sheds the skies and lands lightly behind the human. Fight back. The bullet hits it squarely in the head, but passes right through as if it were a puddle of water, causing it no harm at all. Stay calm and focus. A split second later, hetero creatures lurking in the ruins all swarm up this way. The hetero creatures hold you by the arm that's previously been pierced, while your skin festers the moment it comes into contact with them. Struggle with all might. Already beyond exhaustion, you're unable to fight back, barely feeling anything but pain coming from your limbs as they quickly dissolve. Endure it. The world around you turns pitch black all of a sudden. With an overcoat thrown over your head out of nowhere, you find yourself pressed tightly against the floor. Struggling only brings you tearing pain. It's impossible to see what's happening in the dark. Has my hand been torn off? Before you can tell for sure, you hear the sound of something landing on the ground as the hetero creatures let go of you. Now, even with your legs all but completely numb, you manage to move a few steps with your knees and stand up against the wall. It's only now that you see what's been discarded right beside you. Syringe. After the final shot, you will only have 48 hours left. Even if you make it back to Babylonia, they might not have the tech to save you. This is the last injection. Mission complete. The hetero creatures with human bodies declare their victory. Following the prolonged wail coming from afar are earthquakes and collapses. Well, that didn't go smoothly. Only Mother has calmed down. Cradle is still collapsing. The controlling joystick is dead. Its neck rotates stiffly like a robot observing its surroundings. Then it turns its face towards you, battered and bloody beyond recognition. Stay calm. They're not going to kill me right away as long as they still obey Lithos. There's nothing I can do about that last injection. I need to get some information at least. Who exactly are you? Sea fairy, child loved by Mother. There are also many children that Mother doesn't love. Mostly are. Says the hetero creature calling itself the sea fairy as it points at its smaller kin around itself. No, that's not right. Mother loves all children, but some children, Lithos, cannot love themselves. They refuse to accept Mother's love and ended up like that. So these little hetero creatures are all Lithos. Yes, humans, hetero creatures, hetero sapiens, are all the dead merged with punishing. They, too, are the replicated consciousnesses of Lithos after he died. And so are you. No, our consciousnesses can fully merge. We don't come fragmented like the host. We have Mother to thank for harmonizing resonance. As long as Mother is there, we will be born repeatedly. Consciousness of the humans dead is preserved in the information of the red tide and will continue in us. We replace people of the old times. Soon, everyone will be reborn through death. You, too, will soon join us. It extends its hand at you. Come, follow me to a safe room. You just had the last dose injected. You need food and rest. You will be reborn in 47.7 hours. Sorry, but I'm quite happy with the way I am now. You know that you aren't the toughest of people, but that doesn't mean you aren't going to fight back. Kinda like being human. Aha, I knew it. Oh. Oh, I think that was a cutscene. Oh. Run, 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 run. Huh? No one. Wait, but that's not knowing, that's replicated consciousness. Before facing this known, you've asked the other known a question. Would I have left with Lithos had I never been stopped? Well, quite likely, because he'd always try to stop me from recalling all the good memories. People have no choice but to choose a different path if they can't remember all the good things that happened and are made to believe that nothing they do ever matters. And that's how they become ascendants. There's no way Lithos would have let me become one, even if I'd believed that becoming an ascendant was my only choice. He can't stand not being in control of things, so he probably would have turned me into a transcendent at most. Owen. The familiar figure turns around to face this way in the narrow tunnel. This voice. You can't see me. Huh? You remember the name Noan, but not this incident. What do you mean? Bearing a shocking resemblance to Noan, this young man tilts his head in confusion. Wait, Noan, just hear me out. I know you might not remember me, but... No, my memories are quite complete now. And I understand what's bothering you. There's another real me in Babylonia, right? Grey Raven Commandant. You remember all that. And why are you still helping Lithos? I only started remembering all these things after becoming a transcendent and after that incident. And that's also when I remember you, Watanabe, Lee, Commandant Simon, Captain Palma, and Lillian. I remembered the right path I chose for myself. Let's talk about you instead. How do you still remember the name Noan? Lithos took me here and... Wait, that's a weird question. What's wrong with that? Am I not supposed to remember it? You've been in a state of memory loss, or rather, there are a bunch of your clones here with no memories. But you're the real deal. Of course I'm the real deal, I remember everything. But you don't remember having met me. What? It's possible that your memories have been tampered with, which is something Lithos does a lot. It's either that, or... My personal belongings can prove my identity too. There's no need to prove anything to me. That's only an issue once you're out of here. Those clones don't have this jacket and what's inside it, do they? I couldn't see the other yous clearly. I've touched one of them once, and your clones are all in lab outfits. Why are there clones of me here? I don't know. There are things Lithos would never tell me. He left me out of Project Thyla after I lost this eye. Lithos can be gullible at times. It's going to take a whole lot of convincing to make him trust me on every single thing. I don't have any useful information with me. All I know is that he wants you to stay here, enjoying Thyla's big family, so you'll eventually become one of her eggs. Eggs? Have you seen my clones anywhere else? No, but I've heard these clones were transported from a secret lab near Fort Winter. Are you the very commandant that Grey Raven is leaving no stone unturned trying to find? Or are you one of the 5 they don't care about at all? Maybe. You're the true one, but Grey Raven has located one of the 5 and halted their pursuit of you. Fort Winter. There's no point thinking about any of that. They need to get out of here first. What's wrong with your eyes? Why bother asking when you don't even remember me? The person you remember isn't even me anyway. Try me again with a different question. What exactly were those hetero creatures you defeated? It was an autonomous community of interest of humanoids. Huh? Red Tide holds the information of the deceased. That much I know. Thyla has gathered compatible large shards from the information and infused them into humanoid hetero creatures using her tree of life. She then assigns a role to each of these shards to maintain complementarity and coordinated unity, like a community of interest comprising humanoids, or a harmonious community, if you will. Thessa said he'd attained the technology of fusing the consciousness from mankind. So these consciousnesses came from those who fled here. Shouldn't give up hope for all these lies. Hope? But where is hope? Do you really think pep talks are enough to make things go well? That they don't need to think about anything else, and that they're supposed to work themselves into pulps and be happy with the water and food they get? There are animals out there capable of feeling sad over things other than food, let alone humans. The nobles live worry-free and never hesitate to mock the lower class from being stupid enough to fall for fairy tales like these. It never crosses their minds to think about what these people must have been through to find themselves where they are today. The comfort of mother and the rumors of rebirth hold an irresistible charm for those who are desperate. Moreover, it's no mere fairy tale. All you need to do is stay in this paradise for a few days and get a few injections. And when you wake up, you'll have bidden farewell to your constantly deteriorating body and been reborn as an immortal magical sea girl in Thyla's womb. Your body won't be yours alone, but your consciousness will transcend humanity and understand everything, and you'll be able to get rid of anyone who rubs you the wrong way. What's so bad about that? All this is to say that you don't need to show them pity, nor should you try to make peace with them, even if they were driven to suicide out of desperation. The young man calmly states the necessity of killing. Is there no way out of this? There's supposed to still be some humanity left in them. That's exactly why I'm asking you to be careful. Back in the Golden Age, there was a notebook of people believed you'd die if you had your name written in it. There were a bunch of people who wrote names of game producers in there. Living through a time where all our conflicts and differences are more intensified than ever. Not to mention that they have been driven to desperation. People who have never experienced the terror of power, but find themselves going from powerless to having everything overnight, sure to become demon lords feared the world over. Made a Death Note reference. You've known all along, haven't you? That there's no negotiating with that kind of creature. But you had your hopes up anyway, seeing as you're able to communicate with them in language. Yes. Have you taken the last injection? Can't see you clearly, but I can smell the blood on you. Yes. Do you want to stay here and be reborn as a magical sea girl? Like hell I do. You know how to get out of here. It's tricky. You can head to the control room to call for help because that's the only place with signals. I can point you in the general direction. But that doesn't mean you'll have the clearance to establish a connection, and even if you do, you might end up with Ascendant on this other side of the line. Lamia has the ability to disguise herself as others, but she might not cooperate. It's highly likely Lithos is going to find out about this. So we'll have to kill him to start with. Correct. What if we can't get a hold of anyone? The young man falls silent upon hearing this question. There's nothing else we can do. Actually, you can just go back into Thyla. Did you just say what I think you said? You're right inside Thyla's womb. He points around with no emotion on his face. The space itself is a huge hetero creature. It's closely connected to Thyla like the heterosapiens in Puglia Forest Park, and it interferes with Thyla. People who die here will become part of the floor and get absorbed into Thyla's womb. She will then give birth to them again. Are you saying this is Thyla's cradle? Essos likes to refer to it as that. I've come up with the names like Giant Whale and Deep Star, but it is what it is, no matter what they call it. This giant womb is fixed at the bottom of the deep sea while carrying us, and I've been waiting for a chance to unlock it so I can float up to the surface. That's the only way for people to discover and eliminate it before it turns into a disaster. How do we make that happen? It might stand a chance if the storage room holding all the copies of Mind is still there. Except we'll have to deal with Lithos then. We have to find the joystick that controls the womb, and then we'll have to find someone who can withstand the water pressure to dive into the deep sea to unlock the womb. What is this joystick you're talking about? That's another consciousness that controls Thyla. You know Voodoo and Loki. Thyla's like a madwoman, which is why we need another consciousness to keep her sanity in check. I've met someone who had their consciousnesses integrated. There's a total of 3 consciousnesses keeping Thyla and her womb under control. Thyla herself and 2 other stable minds. Take one of them out of the equation and you end up with a continuous collapse like the one that's happening now. And we all die in the deep sea. Is it possible for the cradle to die? Maybe. As long as Thyla's alive, they can rebuild the cradle. What does one need to do to become Thyla's second consciousness? You need to meet 2 conditions. Your own mind has to be stable, and you have to be accepted by Thyla herself. You'll get expelled prematurely and become one of her children if she doesn't like you and rejects you. All you need to do is die in her womb if you meet these conditions. The roots of the tree of life are buried everywhere here, ready to accept consciousnesses with the red tide. And I'd coexist with her if she doesn't dislike me. No one can coexist with her for an extended period of time. She will shape a consciousness into one of her children before it's crushed. You might become one of those anemones that crawl all over the place, or a magical sea girl, or merge into an egg. Which means another way to do it is to sacrifice someone with a stable enough consciousness to turn that person into Thyla's second consciousness. In this case, there's no avoiding the sacrifice. Only 3 people meet this condition. Noan, Lamia, and yourself. So in case communication fails and you're forced to use this method, who's most likely to be sacrificed? Noan, Shrek, Noan. Running into him here feels like a bad joke. You don't even know how he went blind and which part of his memory is missing. You don't know if you can justify sacrificing him a second time under these circumstances. I failed the save short halt. No, that's exactly why we have to avoid this. What's that? Nothing. Let me think. He's right. Your best bet would be to head down to the control room to call for help. And if that fails, then the 2 of you are as good as dead. You're pressed for time, and the scale of destruction that this space carrying countless hetero creatures is going to wreak on Earth is beyond anyone's imagination. Thyla and this space are breeding grounds for demon lords. They have to be nipped in the bud. Seeing as Task Force cannot operate in the deep sea, you figure you have to take Thyla and break free from the seabed. Task Force can only eliminate both Thyla and the space when they're both on the surface of the sea. Sacrifice is in order. However, in order for that to happen, we should try to focus on establishing communication first before exploring other options. Right, there's still hope. You can get Noan to join you to look for ways to establish communication and see if there is a way to work around the situation. Noan. He tilts his head this way. Tell him about Lamia. Going to head to the control room first. Getting out of here is our best bet. I'm going to get help from the task force. I'll figure out a way to bring Thyla to the sea surface. What are you going to do if you don't get a hold of anyone in the control room? We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. We'll drag Lithos and Lamia here to help if need be. The young man shows a faint smile at your overly idealistic plan. Let's give your plan a shot. It's better than doing nothing. With it, he points in a general direction and turns to leave. Wait, where are you going? I've got a few things to deal with. Huh? It hits you just now that you're probably being a little too optimistic thinking he'd lend you a hand. This person is no longer known, so it only makes sense for him to refuse to help. Can you tell me what your plan is? To throw a wrench in Lithos's grand plans. Seems like we're up to the same thing then. How about we join forces? Standing in place with his hand clutched to the only weapon he has left, the young man weighs his options. Fine, let's do this. This place is about to collapse. I was going to take one last look at Thyla, but I guess there's no time for that. Noan closes his eyes as he explains half the reason for this hesitation. Take one last look at Thyla. Like you said, Thyla has to go, and I've been hearing her cry. She never wanted to give birth to all these dead people. This is what happens when people's wishes go awry. He lets out a soft sigh. Everyone longs to be saved by a mother. But who is there to save the mother herself? There are some things that just can't be solved the further down the road you go. Exactly. Which is why I said fine. We've got no choice but to have her rest in peace, right? Thyla cannot choose her own death. A hetero creature's body can heal as many times as it needs to in the punishing. We've got to count on organizations like Babylonia if we want a solution. Well, let's go. No one makes a please gesture, but shows no intention of coming closer. I'm a transcendent now. Got it. Ah, that's right. Hola, Caesar Life. Bienvenido, bienvenido. No estoy aquí continuando lo que empecé ayer. 26-17, downstream. Playing Islamia again. Two of you navigate through countless collapsed passages towards the control room. All along the way, hetero creatures come pouring out of the collapsed walls like animals trying to flee a forest fire. Every last one highly aggressive. To them, one of you is a traitor who deserves nothing but death, while the other is a sacrifice to be captured. One single mishap is all it takes for the two of you to become their prey. And it doesn't help that you're severely wounded and slowing down the two of you. T-minus 39.5 hours. After an 8-hour trek, you and Noan finally find the entrance to the control room, a door floating in midair. Around the door lurks a bunch of hetero creatures, to no one's surprise. Think you can get rid of them on your own? There's someone else in the distance. But you couldn't see things clearly. I can hear Thyla crying. Someone is holding her egg down that way. Could be Lamia. Let's take a detour to catch them. Avoiding the crowd of monsters by the door, you head down the way no one has pointed out for you, and sure enough, see Lamia. She's holding an egg in one hand and wields a weapon in the other, cutting down the hetero creatures like wheat. Every time she swings her weapon, she pauses or goes mad for a moment, acting as though she is possessed or having her consciousness devoured. Oh, that's not good. Report what you've seen to no one and seek further information. What exactly is that egg? It's Cinderlick, one-winged transcendent that follows around Vonnegut. Yes, her mind isn't stable enough for her to become a complete egg. She only managed to become something that seems like one because Thyla is her mother. Is she dead? Can't tell for sure. She'd probably end up becoming an even more powerful magical girl if she managed to hatch from the egg. Did you just say hatch? Yes, but she's not going to hatch in her current state. Wait, I remember you saying Lithos wanted me to become one of Sila's eggs. But Cinderlick is already inside the egg. No one said the egg was only big enough to hold one single consciousness, so we'd better get out of here as soon as we can if we don't want to become one with her. Why did she go to the lengths of becoming a hetero creature, though? Because she heard about Kugawa Kurono's death one afternoon, and she crossed off visit Kugawa Kurono from her wish list in tears. He failed again, mister. He isn't coming back to see Mother again, even at the cost of picking the wrong path. Let me be reborn by Mother, she pleaded to the agent. I want to know if Mother remembers me. I can become your key if it works. This is my final wish. How do you even know about this? They let their guard down around me sometimes. What do you know about Kugawa Kurono? A long story. The young man waves his hand, dismissing further questions. Anyhow, both Lithos and his agents see the egg as important. They think it's an amplifier of some sort, and you've seen its effects already. When an unstable mind becomes an egg, it amplifies its power and transfers the amplified power to its user, which messes up the user's mind. In other words, it's difficult for her to use the egg by herself, and her standing there not doing anything instead of her mind being messed up. Establishing a mind connection with an ascendant is a serious burden, and there's no guarantee one can cut it off unilaterally. This is a bargaining chip. Keeping this in mind, you shout out Lamia's name, which stops her hand in mid-air along with her weapon. Your mind is already a mess. Hearing this, the mermaid clutches the egg in her arms even more tightly, fearing it might be snatched away the next second. But even in those moments of her hesitation, the hetero creatures still keep their distance from her, fearing the egg she's holding. You too. Tell her how you ran into Noan and what you plan to do in the control room. I know there's a control room here. We should work together for now, Lamia. What you're trying to do is exactly what we're trying to do too. Are you sure you want to work with an ascendant? No, not with an ascendant, but with you, Lamia. But I am an ascendant. Depends on the person. I wouldn't work with Gabriel, for example. We all need to get out of this place, and you need a mind connection too. So let's join forces, I say. The mermaid stands in hesitation. Hetero creatures around her eyeing the egg in her hands, still too afraid to take their chances. Before Lamia met these two again, she thought about how to break the ice. She thought about how best to explain herself so they'd understand that she never intended to work with Lithos, nor did she wish to fight them. But she was sure that nothing she had to say would lessen one bit of their hostility towards Ascendants. And while she did think about putting on the disguise of an innocent bystander construct, doing so would mean that she wouldn't be able to conceal the crimson giant egg she held. Never did it hit her, though, that they would ask her to join forces without first asking her to justify herself. Legendary Grey Raven Commandant has no choice but to ask for help, huh? She nods, albeit in doubt. Great. Now pass me that egg before it messes up your mind even further. Lamia takes another step back, clutching the egg tightly. I can't give you this. Lamia doesn't dislike this particular human with whom she's been working with this whole time. She's happy to keep the relationship the way that it is. And she'd even be glad to stay in touch with the human, the same way Lillian and they do with them. As long as they're willing to stop being the hero they are for just a few moments. This is mine, and I'm not giving it to anyone. She knows very well how important the egg is. Her frame won't hold for much longer if she doesn't bring the egg back to Luna, and she might even lose her status as an ascendant, which would turn her into a mere corrupted. Moreover, the egg is all she has to make all her wishes come true. I can work with you. I'm not giving you this. Okay. Seeing you trying to make peace as you take a few steps back, Lamia loosens up a little among the hetero creatures. So, let's start by establishing a mind connection, Lamia. But it's going to corrupt your mind beacon. That much I'm aware of. Her silence voices her doubts. Lithos is still alive. We need to get ourselves sufficiently ready before heading into this territory that he holds dear. We need to figure out a way to call for help in the control room. This is our only chance to get out of this place safely. This is our only chance. And we have to defeat Lithos. That's the least we can do. Lamia gazes at the human before her, whose decaying appearance reminds her of an overripe apple. Would a person fall like an apple if they had their plate too full? Well, sure. Step by step, she approaches the human, with the egg and weapon and a swarm of hetero creatures. Swarm of hetero creatures, huh? Yeah, this is probably going to be what I'm going to fight. Yep. Whee! Water everywhere. This is also one of Lithos' defense measures. It seems that he has regained control over this place. Oh, that's right. The brains and the... Dear God. Whee! I don't know. Yeah, that's another brain. Good on all these people and their messed up experiments. Yeah, I can get through. Keep moving onward. Is this now going to be a combat zone? Oh no, it's just... That is locked. Things. A little brain inside of the frames. God. Operate. Would you like to activate the forced drainage system? Start draining. Alright, you can come over now. What? What do you mean? Huh? Say those... there must just be a little glitch in their system. His cats. Okay. Just gonna mark that as like a glitch in their way they describe those things. Anyway, I should see if there's anything useful. Access control should be back to normal now, right? What a hassle. Silas children are here as well. Oh, it's just some test subjects. There we go. Oh. Should be able to find some information there. Okay, this is the same. Yes, right, Alyssa, yeah. Alyssa and Echo, that's where they were mentioning mind stuff and combining. Mr. Kilgore trout may provide difficult, much of the running is blurred, check it later. Find death row and made body experiments agree, much of the running is blurred. There's nothing meaningful. Not able to roll down on that still. Check. Death row inmate body experiment contract to be scrapped. Old news. Many know about this. Incident report. Much of the writing is blurred. Check it later. Pretty successful. Old news. Many know about this. Check. Huh. Interesting. Don't know what that did. Professor Kilgore Trout makes public confession in his new autobiography. Found a news article. Check it later. 7411. People initiated joint petition for march in support of Professor Kilgore Trout. Seen among the marchers. Oh. Some archived news reports. I'll gather them all for now. I should leave the way I came. Professor Kilgore Trout, huh? Interesting. Go out this way. Having eliminated the hetero creatures that had been tailing you, you perk up and turn your attention back to the old news you just found. Did Lithos put all of these together? Professor Kilgore Trout makes public confession in his new autobiography. A reporter from a news agency received the latest novel by Professor Kilgore Trout. Except for early life anecdotes, the book details how the protagonist, the psychiatrist of 15 years, manipulated and drove 13 individuals to suicide. All were patients he had treated for mental illnesses, with the later half of the book including the actual case files of the 13 patients. After repeated verification of the book's authenticity, the reporter decided to report to the police. There's 7411. People initiated joint petition for march in support of Professor Kilgore Trout. As a renowned psychiatrist and psychologist, Professor Kilgore Trout has helped countless patients and assisted the police in solving numerous cold cases. 13 people he incited to commit suicide all had criminal records, but were largely exempt from punishment due to their mental illnesses. According to the reporter's detailed investigation, during the 15 years Professor Trout worked as a psychiatrist, he assisted the police in identifying around 100 criminal cases involving mentally ill individuals, with 13 believed to have been driven to suicide. In an interview, he disclosed his motive: to test if those who justify murder with mental illness would themselves resort to the same reasonings for suicide. And yet, still hasn't stopped people from speaking out for him. So far, 7,411 people have initiated a joint petition online and organized an official march. An offline march. Professor Kilgore Trout seen among the marchers. It was only after the march in support of Professor Kilgore Trout had come to an end that people discovered a man resembling him in photos from the event. Police refused to disclose any further information. However, according to a source, Professor Kilgore Trout indeed managed to escape from prison during that time. Redacted, and this is how it all went down. Determination of sentence for Professor Kilgore Trout may prove difficult. The police have yet to discover further evidence linking Professor Kilgore Trout to the 13 suicides after his last autobiography was sent out. Supporters have raised doubts about whether the autobiography was actually written by Professor Kilgore Trout himself. Was it by a journalist who had been bribed to send the professor's reputation to the drain? Or was the professor forced to write the autobiography? Professor Trout signed death row inmate body experiment agreement. Redacted. Significant progress made in experiment for uploading mine data. Redacted. It wasn't until now that we're finally keeping redacted confined. Redacted. Related personnel refused to reveal further information. Lots of redacted. Professor Kilgore Trout confirmed dead. Particular piece only comes with the title. Death row inmate body experiment contract to be scrapped. On July 13th, the death row inmate body experiment contract plan will be officially terminated. Approved by the world government, this 3-year plan began as a voluntary public welfare contract signed by death row inmates and their families. On receiving compensation, inmates agreed to participate in related medical experiments. Over the past year, however, multiple instances of backdoor dealings among the institutions involved have been exposed. In the name of the world government, these institutions enlist inmates without consent for inhumane, torturous experiments. After the scandal broke, massive protests ensued, halting the plan within 3 days and leading to the explicit legal prohibition of human experimentation. Incident report. The mine data of Klug has been lost. Someone must be helping him. Redacted. He escaped. Project Isla achieved preliminary success. Redacted. Through cloning and mind backup, the deceased can be reborn in the womb of a mother. Even after conversion to mind data, individuals retain the ability to revert to a human form, granting immunity to fatal injuries and incurable diseases. Humanity will achieve true immortality the day Project Thyla is successfully developed. Yeah, if you don't want your project to be taken the wrong way, maybe you should name it after the daughter of Cthulhu. Apart from the incident report, most of these documents are just like clippings. They're nothing but bits and pieces of old news. Someone was after this certain Professor Kilgore Trout. These seemed like what came out of his pursuit. Why were they after him, though? You go on looking for clues with this question sitting in the back of your mind, and it isn't long before you find an old novel under the shelf beside the desk. Printed photograph that vaguely captures the figure of a young man falls out of the novel when you open it. Take a closer look later. That's Vonnegut, isn't it? Put the photo aside and carry out looking for further information in the book. There is nothing, however, save for bloodstains, until you reach the very last page. That mister came here again today, and he chose me. Father said I have to make him happy because he's a very prestigious man. But he didn't do anything. We talked about me and my life here and about the other fathers and Rose. He asked me a lot of questions about what I'd learned, too. Most different from what's written there. I was brave and asked him his name, but he just pointed to the book by my bed and asked what I thought of it. I told him I just liked the title of the book. When I picked it from the donations, I thought it was a fairy tale book. I didn't understand a thing when I actually started reading it, though. He told me to start addressing him as Vonnegut when I could read it. He would come pick me up if we meet again. I supposed to believe that? Or can I even wait until then? Riel has been gone for over a month, and Father only brought back his Rubik's Cube. What does this passage mean? Does it have anything to do with the news just now? Vonnegut. Could the truth be as simple as the news makes it out to be if all of this is pointing towards the past of Vonnegut the agent? All around you seems to have grown blurry right when you think about it, when you're about to think a little deeper. The corruption of your mind beacon has been interfering with your judgment. You turn around, hoping to pick the brains of your local guide, but see that he's standing afar, fully attentive to the entrance, while Lamia looks this way, still holding the egg. Not a good time to think about these things now. Did you find something? An old book from Lithos that's not going to help us leave this place. But are you okay? She reaches her hand out, trying to touch you. What's wrong? You seem like you're crying. The question, you see your face through the reflection in the puddle. You look on the verge of a breakdown, having had to live through too much pain and suffering. You've been turning a blind eye to everything you've been through, pretending they didn't bother you. Here you are, finally losing your cool. No, can't let it get to me. With everything that needs to be done, you know you've got no time to whine or become anyone's burden. I'm fine. Really? Yep, we can look into these once we're out of here. Time is running against you. We need to prioritize calling for help. When you look up, you break into a smile that shines through the wounds and bloodstains on your face. T-minus 37.5 hours. Oh man, this is stressful. A tricky puzzle again. Are those working for Vonnegut all into this kind of stuff? Hard operating. Hmm. Hold on. Uh, no, dang it. Dang it, dang it, dang it. That's not what I wanted. This one? And then... No, it's... Then it's... There we go. And then... Okay. Easy. Definitely didn't just hit different combos to try to see what I needed to do. Oh. Okay. Ah. Pop this. And then do this. Ooh. What do you mean failed? God. It tells me failed, but then I go and check and it's like, no, you're good. Okay. 4 more combat zones? Yeah. Each 3, need 12, yep. Okay. 26-19, insufficient balance. God only knows if this utopia is going to see the light of tomorrow. You tuck away the documents you found and continue searching for hope in this maze of a control room. After 2 hours of battle and search, the trio finally comes across the transmitter that Lithos has been using to communicate with the world outside. Tinker with it, hoping it would work, but see that there are no signals. Let me give it a try, says Lamia, sounding absolutely confident. I didn't know you knew how to fix transmitters. Because this is a special channel built by Ascendants. Lamia sounds upset. The confident person that she was just moments ago is nowhere to be found. Anyway, I know how to crack Lithos' cipher to restore the signal. I guess his method can only connect to the ground where the corrupted are. That's fine. Good enough for now. She nods and proceeds to tinker with the transmitter. She operates the machine in awkward movements, every single step taking what seems like an eternity. She seems like someone fiddling with a machine they've never seen before with the help of a manual. Are you familiar with this transmitter? Well, I wasn't, but I am now. Found anything useful? No, but I know how to work this machine now. I didn't see you take a crash course just now, though. Well, let's just say I did. Wow. Found a few messages that Lithos left behind in the punishing that only Ascendants can see. Phantom Chasers should also be able to read the messages, right? Vonnegut and Ascendants came up with a lot of intricate stuff with the punishing and the corrupted. Pretty surprising. Thought you were supposed to fire the punishing as a railgun like what Luna did. She murmurs to herself. Well, this should be good enough for us to handle most of our enemies. Gabriel always says only the weak need to get together to work on their tools and techniques, and that these things don't really mean a thing when they're up against someone overwhelmingly powerful. Lamia looks up with a melancholic face, her gaze penetrating the wall in front of her, crossing the deep sea and reaching into a starry sky that's not there. Power grows at a diminishing rate, though, except he was never even aware of this. Never even aware, huh? And she'd be correct. Gabriel's not alone in his ignorance. Most people are trapped in their ignorance without realizing it. It's easy for one to take the things they encounter as the only truth, and be clueless or show no interest at all in things beyond their understanding. Many are those who fail to even realize just how ignorant and biased they are. Something just happened. Huh? I feel like there's something different about you. It's nothing. I just saw some reflections. Reflections of what? To talk about it. She snaps back to this very moment of the draining present. Lamia says no more, continuing to operate the transmitter for a while before looking up again. We need an identity card. Back to square one, huh? I just got it up and running, but I'm no expert when it comes to cracking security. Taps her toes anxiously on the floor. That agent's minions sure like to make things complicated. Let's split up and look for this ID card then. I'll take care of it. Let's cut off the mind connection for now so you can rest for a bit here. You know, Lamia will do just fine on her own, since information gathering is one of the few things she's good at. Alright. This time, with her cooperation, the mind connection is quickly severed. Then the mermaid disappears without looking back. Unable to continue using the egg, Lamia conceals herself and carefully dodges collapsing structures as monsters emerge everywhere. Soon, she comes across a nearby patrolling corrupted, twists off its head, and reads the memory unit in its memory shell. Inderlik, I need your help here. But it shows Lithos pulling a file from a crack in the wall. Is it nearby? Touching the exact spot she saw in the footage, she notices the wall itself comprises the punishing's heterocrystalline. Lithos isn't even trying to guard this place. Is it because humans can reach this place at all? Or is there another trap hidden in there? Despite the risk, Lamia knows that she has to give it a try to see if it leads them to a way out of here. She reaches out to the heterocrystal and pulls an old file out of it. When she opens it, she sees a yellowed filtered file paper with a discolored ID card clipped to it. Kana Kurono. Case file for candidates of Project Thyla. Kana Kurono. Biological age, 16. Prior to becoming Thyla, CB-103 was a child of natural birth born without the help of the Tree of Life. Her father was researcher Kugawa Kurono. Redacted. After redacted, Kana Kurono was confirmed to also have the potential to become Thyla. The surgery to merge her with the tree is set for December 23rd at 2100. The Tree of Life. For a split second, the gigantic tree that nurtures the dead crosses Lamia's mind. She's in all of the technologies from back in the day. Lamia checks the date on the case file and sees that this happened before the punishing outbreak. Which means they've got to have modified her then. While trying to process what she just read, Lamia places the ID card with the name Kana Kurono on the console sensor area. Let's see if it still works. The console, however, displays a message in bold. Insufficient balance. Access denied. Please recharge or try another ID. Wait, are you seriously making your own people pay to unlock this thing when it's your turf? Disbelieving. She gives the console several more tries but gets nothing by the same response. I really want to find Lithos for a fight now. Lamia feels anger boiling in her but knows that it has to wait. She decides to see if there is a workaround. Guess I'll try my luck with other corrupted. All of a sudden, a muffled sound finds its way into Lamia's auditory module. Who's this? It's like an invitation, a trap that's been set up in advance. Quick, hide here. Cinderlick? He isn't going to find us this time. The single-winged girl makes her way into the depths of the room with a smile, as though guiding the lost mermaid. Meanwhile, with the help of your local guide, you've been going through the rooms trying to find clues. When you enter the third room, a notebook peeking out from a crack in the collapsed floor catches your attention. Owen, can you grab that notebook for me? There seems to be a red tide below. Sure, where is it? Point in the general direction. Takes the two of you, one severely injured and the other 90% blind, a good 3 minutes to finally pull out another notebook from the crack. There are 3 things in it. a case file, an ID card, and a blank contract. The case file is a photo of a girl whom you believe you've met before. Cinderlick. You quickly go through the file and learn that it belongs to a subject coded XX003. Subject was a modestly successful biotech expert born in the Golden Age. For years, she lived with hereditary cancer, and after several reoccurrences, opted out of treatment. Participated in Project Thyla, dead at 41. She devoted everything she had to the Tree of Life from Project Thyla and was reborn 3 times, eventually managing to survive in someone else's body. But it was a failed attempt nonetheless, because XX003 only inherited her scientific talent and not her memories or personality. If there's anything this elaborate project achieved that the cloning technology couldn't, it's the fact that her mind data was put in a test subject from the CB series, and she was, therefore, reborn with a new body. Cured of her hereditary disease, she took advantage of the opportunity to swap into an appearance that everyone would find pleasing, but that she didn't much care about. Her mother, coded CB107 after giving birth to XX003, suffered from consciousness and organ rejection caused by the Tree of Life, which soon led to her death. Can X003 still be considered her, given the way things turned out? Flip to the blank contract. Oh, Jesus. Flashbang. District, number, name, age. Subject brief. Thank you for participating in Project Thyla. As this project is under development, we would like to take this opportunity to go over its many limitations. 1. The ultimate objective of this project is for you to be reborn with your original memories, personality, and all knowledge intact. 2. This project is currently ineffective for those brain dead or with severe brain damage or disease. 3. Per Article 1092 of the Science and Technology Progress and Protection Act by the World Government, those who have signed agreements and claimed the special benefits will be notified upon admission. Your cooperation is requested if diagnosed with less than a year to live to fulfill agreement obligations. Refer to Appendix 3 for permissions. Due to the unique nature of this project, we would also like to draw your attention to its potential risks as outlined below. 1. This project involves digitization of your mind, and upon completion, your body as a human will cease to live. 2. Due to technological requirements, anesthesia will not be administered during digitization of the mind. 3. In addition to the data of your mind, you also agree to leave your biological data with us. 4. Once your mind is digitized, we will not be able to offer visitation rights of any form. Signature of subject or family member. Oh, thank God. Continue flipping through the notebook. The inner pages of the notebook are printed with screenshots of web pages, making it seem like a nostalgic old man's efforts to not forget what's happening. Is this an excerpt from some interview show? Faded images and dialogue carry a witty and humorous exchange between Kilgore Trouts and another person whose name has been redacted. Close the notebook. Should probably bring these back and look into them. This ID card might help unlock the console. We should either send this to Lamia or ask her to come back. Okay. He steps aside, clearly having no intention to do the favor for you. We're getting fewer earthquakes and collapses now, which I think is a sign that Lithos has contained the chaos you caused earlier. Once I'm gone, you'll only make yourself an easy target to either Lithos or the humanoid hetero creatures if you stay here. Alright, let's go together. Your legs blistering from the punishing corruption you have. You take a step forward in excruciating pain. You feel as though you were treading on the sharp blade of a knife, like a mermaid. Bear the pain and press forward. Sorry. Seeing you're trembling in pain, he repeats his apology. Would love to, but I'm a transcendent now. That's okay. Let's keep going. He nods. As the two groups approach each other with different documents in their hands, the Cradle, on the verge of death, recalls when this nightmare first began. No, her, Thyla's memories were already filled with nightmares unique to the Golden Age before that day even came. This isn't what the higher-ups wanted to see when they decided to invest in you. Making improvements now, and improvements take time. As someone who's still got the time for a fling with the test subject, it's meant to test and see whether the test subject's stability of mind data is correlated to their emotions from when they were alive. Which is why I decided to show her love and encourage her to love. But how's that coming along? CB-103 is the only mother who survived, perfectly compatible with the tree of life. We proved that compatibility indeed correlates with the test subject's emotional stability. And the little bird told me that you and the test subject had a naturally born child that you named Kana Kurono. Is that true? Yes. That's one hell of an experiment right there. Was this also part of your plan too? The still young Kugawa Kurono looks down without saying anything. See, they legalized human experimentation with inmates not so long after Professor Trout's incident. What we're giving you now is not just money. The higher-ups weren't going to stick their noses into your research and would be happy to keep their mouths shut if you got something to show for your work, but we are not seeing any progress these days. In a fit of rage, the man showers Kugawa Kurono's face with a spit. You're not raising your child here with the public funds. Put her to good use or get rid of her. You're running short on both time and money here. If this rebirth thing doesn't work, you probably want to start coming up with something that's going to please the higher-ups. Speaking of which, that Queen Bee system built on the Tree of Life wasn't too shabby at all. It lets Thyla do mind connections with her children and make them obey her orders, right? Ever heard of thought control from one of those hot novels these days? An obedient army that follows every command without question. Ideal, isn't it? Personality and memories aside, talent is all that matters. But I haven't seen progress on your end. And the Thyla's is being anything but aggressive. Quite a waste, wouldn't you say? I don't think Professor Godwin would want to. Then you either replace him or call it a day before the police come busting your butt. The man emphasizes the phrase call it a day in a tone that's anything but normal, which Kugawa Kurono takes as a pronouncement of death with reprieve for the wild project at hand. Only 31 researchers remain, silently watching over 47 guinea pigs still alive. This dream of eternity they're trying to realize, all while disregarding all taboos and the law, is the very definition of insanity without a single bit of romance. Your funding will be halved. You have 9 months left. Make that count and prove your worth. He leaves in big strides, hands behind his back. Funding got halved. What do we do next? We're too deep into all this illegal stuff to get off the hook. We need to have a meeting with Professor Godwin once he's feeling well enough. He puts on a wry smile. Even the best outcome requires comprehensive expenditure cuts from the subjects to us, everyone involved. God only knows if this utopia is going to see the light of tomorrow. Okay. I think we're only 7 things away, so I think I'm going to call it there for today. It's been 3 hours and I already feel my throat getting kind of sore, so I'm going to call it there. We should just be 1, so I think tomorrow for sure we'll be able to finish it. Be able to complete the story. But that will be all from me for today. Some heavy stuff, not gonna lie, Jesus. But finishing Grey Raven's always had some pretty good and just heavy and well spent out story, so that will be all for me for today. Thank you so very much for stopping by. If you stopped by, any and all support is very much appreciated. As always, may the moon guide you. Take care.